Welcome to Hospitality on the Rise, the podcast about the people shaping the hospitality industry and their journeys. I'm your host, Alice Chang, founder and CEO of Culinary Agents, hospitality's go-to hiring platform. And I'm here to give you your dose of virtual mentorship. Here, we'll be sharing the stories, lessons learned, and advice from hospitality leaders who've carved out their own path to success. After all, this industry is where many get their start and go on to do incredible things. Whether you're a pro, starting out, or just love the hustle, this podcast highlights what makes hospitality extraordinary: the people. We're so excited to have Ivy Mix with us today. Ivy is the co-owner of Whoopsie Daisy and Fiasco in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Whoopsie Daisy is a natural and biodynamic wine bar. And Fiasco is a wine and spirits shop focused on small and independent producers. She's also the co-founder of Speed Rack, which is just an amazing organization that we'll hear more about, an all-femme high-speed bartending competition designed to highlight up-and-coming femme-identifying folk in the cocktail industry and to give back to those impacted by breast cancer. She's also co-author of A Quick Drink, the Speed Rack Guide to Winning Cocktails for Any Mood, and an author of Spirits of Latin America. I don't want to gloss over this giant list of awards and recognitions, so I'll just pull out a couple of highlights because the show is only 30 minutes. 2026 was this year JBFA semifinalist of Outstanding Professional in Cocktail Service. She has been recognized with the Pink Agenda Icon Award, Tales of the Cocktail Spirited Awards, Wine Enthusiast Mixologist of the Year, Tales of the Cocktail Spirit Awards, Food and Wine Most Innovative Women's List. The list goes on and on. Welcome, Ivy.
Hi, thank you.
I'm so excited to have you with us today. We've been supporters and followers of all of your work for many years, and I'm gonna have to make a joke because Ivy Mix has to be like the best name for what you.
And it's my real name. So people are like, oh, I thought it was fake. And I'm like, my dad's last name is Mix. My sister's last name is Mix. It's all
Amazing. Well, so let's take it back a little bit. How did you get into the hospitality industry?
kind of by accident. I grew up in a very small town in central Vermont, went to college in Vermont, and I was given the opportunity to get out of Vermont because I had like a winter term at the college. I went to Bennington College. It was called fieldwork term, in quotes. And basically, you're supposed to do work in your field. I didn't have a field. I wanted to leave the country. I wanted to learn a foreign language. I'd not spent a lot of time outside the Northeast at that point. So because of a friend, I ended up in Guatemala. Long story short, this was pre-Instagram, pre-Facebook, pre-Tinder. Like you met people the old-fashioned way, which is in a bar, right? So I found a bar, liked it, started going every day, became a kind of a staple of the bar. And then when I had to go home, they're like, oh, you got a tab. And I started working to pay off the tab that I had. And I made the realization like, oh, I would be here anyway, but I'd be spending money and arguably like drinking more. I'm like, I can just be here working, making money, still being here and still enjoying myself. So that was the first bite. And I did that. I lived in Guatemala for off and on for 4 years, bartending at this bar. And then the rest is history.
I love it. Way to conclude. So, so ahead of your time, probably as a timing wise, it probably, ended up to be a perfect storm. So
Yeah.
once you were like, okay, I found my thing. I enjoy this. I can enjoy myself and make money, which is like,
Mhm.
it's like chasing your passions, right?
Yeah.
When did you when did you come back to the States and decide like, I'm going to open my thing or go work in this industry?
Yeah. So when I was in Guatemala, I worked in a tequila and mezcal bar, and this was like 2003 to 2008, roughly 2004 to 2000. Well, did I know 2003? And tequila had a bad rap in the country in the United States at about that time, and no one had heard of mezcal really. I happened to have the fine, extraordinary luck of graduating college in 2008 when the economy collapsed. I had a fine art and philosophy degree, and I kind of just thought I was going to be a professor at some point, like doing whatever. So I started working in like bars and restaurants just to make some cash as I was working for art galleries for free, had like an art studio. I was just trying to make it in New York City. That's where I moved Like every liberal arts school person from the Northeast, we all flock after graduation to New York City, right? So I followed my twin sister there. And then through a friend of a friend, I was called from a friend in Mexico being like, hey, there's a tequila and mezcal bar opening up in the East Village, like fancy cocktails. Like you should go get a job there. And I was like, okay, great. So I went, I applied and they were like, no. And then I was like, okay, like whatever. And then I had to go drop bottles from another friend of mezcal off at this bar. And they were like, are you the same Ivy? And I was like, no, of course not. Like there's so many, yeah, there's so many Ivies out there. And that bar was Maya Well.
Oh,
Rest in
yeah.
peace, Maya Well in the
Oh, I
East Village
loved
in
that
Manhattan.
place.
It was great. And that's where I got introduced to cocktails. And people were making like Phil Ward obviously was running the place, owned the place. There were amazing bartenders working there. And I really got to see people being really creative with tequila and mezcal, which I was already into, in this hospitality environment that I was already into. And I was making money for the first time in my life. Like before I worked at Maya Well, I was working the graveyard shift at the French roast in the West Village. And it was the worst. So I was like, okay, this is great. Anyway, I got bit by the bug. I fell in love with it. And the art world was not exactly booming at the moment. And I kind of got disenfranchised with, I was working at Gagosian Gallery and it was not for me. I was like literally getting people lattes and it was not for me. So I realized that corporate America is not for me. Bartending, I can make my own schedule. And then I just started getting more and more into the creative arc of cocktail bartending, which was like making art but for a different sensory palette. I used to do sculpture and photography. This was a different thing. And that was it. And then I just kept going.
Oh man, I love so many parts of that story for many reasons. One, because Manuel was one of my favorite places.
No.
And just like hanging out upstairs. It was very special. So
Yeah,
I was probably there while you were there.
I'm sure.
Like back in the day when I used to be a
Yeah.
lot more fun. Um, but but then also, you talk about, we talk about culinary agents, obviously with career pathing and some of the really amazing benefits of working in hospitality is the flexibility. And,
Mhm.
oftentimes people do pursue, what they think is their path and then do this as a side hustle. And then at some point, sometimes it flips, right? Sometimes it becomes like, wait, it doesn't have to be it's actually my thing, not
Yeah.
hustle. And I can actually, you know, grow in this and learn and fulfill all the other aspects that need to be fulfilled here. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's very fun.
Yeah.
So after this particular time in your life, when did you come up with or co-found Speed Rack, et cetera? Take me through that because you weren't
Yes.
busy enough, obviously.
Well, I mean, honestly, no one really knew me from Adam, like, or I guess Jane. I was working in New York City. This was a time when like cocktail bartending was pretty synonymous with speakeasy. So like if you were a cocktail bar, you were a speakeasy. You had to knock on a secret door. You were hard to find. Everyone was trying to be this like meme mixologist, which again I put in heavy air quotes, but like, the guy with the suspenders and the pork pie hat and the mustache or the big beard. And it was like that was the image of what a bartender was supposed to be. And when I was trying to get bartending jobs, I was literally told like, no, like you don't really fit the image of what we're looking for, and stuff that like nowadays you would never be able to tell anyone that, right? But
Of course.
I was like, well, that's kind of messed up. Like, and then I was told multiple times, like, you're a cocktail waitress, like that's what you are. And I'm like, well, I was a bartender forever. And also I'm so clumsy. Like, do not give me a tray full of cocktails. That's a horrible idea. Like, I need to be behind the bar. I will save you money. I swear to God. Um, But yeah, I ended up kind of being like, well, that's kind of weird. And I went around to all the quote unquote best bars in the world, and there were not a lot of people that looked like me in there. Meaning like femme, you know? Um, so I I was part of this thing called LUPEC, Ladies United for the Preservation of Endangered Cocktails, which Lynette Marrero was the president of in New York City. I ended up talking to her about this like idea I had, like maybe we should make a cocktail competition like just for the ladies. Like why don't we do that? And because people kept on telling, but I'd ask people, hey, why don't you have any ladies, femmes working in your bar, they were like, oh, we don't really know any. Which was like, I'm like, well, I'm one. I'd love to work here, And with Lynette's help, we created Speed Rack, literally to create a platform for femmes to stand on in this male-dominated industry and be like, oh, you don't know anyone? Well, there's 20 of them on stage in your city yesterday. So if you need a contact, I can help you out. There's like pre-culinary agents connecting
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. Hey, that's another beautiful thing about this industry. I always say, especially, with culinary agents, what we do is like, we're never going to replace word of mouth. Like, a goal is not to replace word of mouth, right?
Right.
And at the end of the day, especially this industry, the networking, the connections, the relationships, that
Mhm.
is so unique and special.
Yeah.
And the more people kind of embrace that and be a part of it, the better off they are. Like,
Yeah.
there's always a connection to be made.
Totally.
And sometimes these like dedicated platforms are exactly what you need to address the problem, because apparently women were hard to find.
Apparently. Yeah. Apparently. So that's why it started. And that started in 2011. And we were like, well, if we know it's going to be a good party, so why we have to have brands to sponsor it because it's expensive to put on events like this. Why don't we sell tickets and not make it free to the public and then raise money for breast cancer research and prevention? So we're like almost at $2 million. We may have even surpassed $2 million rate in our last event, but we're like on the precipice. So we did that in the last 15 years, and we've had thousands of femmes and thems apply and compete, and it's been a thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like it's more than a thing. It's raising for a cause, but then also it's a platform to launch people's careers. Like,
Yeah.
people are highlighted. There's promotion. I know just the other day, I was getting bombarded with like updates from Speed Rack, and I was like, oh, the competition is happening.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations. And I know I think I see a note here that the U.S. regional and finals are upcoming.
They sure are.
Coming
They sure are.
soon.
Yep. We have Boston on the 31st. We have Seattle in the middle of April. And our season 14 finale is the Sunday of Tales of the Cocktail in July.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, changing lane, because this is really that was really awesome, but it's just one part of your career here. Take me back to, when did you decide, okay, I'm going to open my own thing?
Um, so I was working my way up the cocktail chain in New York City, trying to get good jobs, trying to get respectable jobs, trying to get into these like best bars in the world. And I ended up at Clover Club in Brooklyn in Carroll Gardens. And I was like, I stayed there for 4 years. I was like, I really had no interest in going back to Manhattan. I was like, no, thank you. And the cocktail program there was world renowned. I learned a lot. And then I started thinking like, oh, I want to open up my own spot. Many people were like, you're not going to manage first. I'd never been a head bartender before. I'd never managed anywhere before. And I was like, I don't know. Like, I kind of feel like now is the time. And I don't really want to move to a different place and become the head bartender at a new place. I'd rather just kind of go out on my own. And luckily, I ended up opening up Leyenda, my first bar, with everyone from Clover Club. So I was able to learn a lot and like kind of lean on them for things I didn't know before. I wouldn't necessarily recommend opening up a bar when you've never bar managed before, but let alone a kitchen. Like Leyenda ended up being a restaurant, which was a surprise. But sometimes the people just tell you what they want, and they want food. But that was a new thing for me. I was like, oh my God, like how do you even do this? But it's never easy. But I would recommend maybe at least having some advice on how to run a bar program. I guess now people have AI. You can just ask Claude what you want, which is unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah, well, true. And I think a couple things to highlight there in general, right, is that you hear really often people are just have this. The most common advice that people have when we get to quickfire of what would you tell your younger self is like to slow down and to like spend a little more time like learning about management and like how to manage people. And I think that's one of the things that that I've noticed and we see pretty often is that you can be really great at your job, And you could be, at a point where you have investors and you've built a name and all that stuff. But if you've never managed people, there's a people component that Claude cannot help you with, right? And,
Yeah. We're
you
in the
know,
hospitality industry. AI cannot replace that.
yeah.
Hospitality, it cannot replace. Yeah.
Yeah, and there is something to be said about like how to navigate like people, like HR situations, just having certain conversations, what you should and should not do, and I think in an industry like ours, there are so many different variables and scenarios and all these nuances, et cetera. But one thing is for certain is that oftentimes people do kind of grow quicker than others in like corporate America, et cetera. And there's less structure sometimes and less available to them to learn.
Yeah.
And it varies. Like there's no standard. So sometimes
No.
people like fast track into management and, they may be really awesome at their job. And then they realize like, I don't know how to handle this situation. Um,
Yeah. I
and
still don't know how to handle some situations. Like, I'm just like, sometimes I'm like, what in the hell? Like, I honestly don't know how people work alone. Like, I don't know how someone runs a bar or restaurant alone. I have no idea because like, how could you possibly know? I need someone to bounce ideas off of, or like, like we had this, like just like unemployment or sick leave. There's so many things
yeah.
like, oh, heaven forbid you mess that up. Like, heck, that
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
messed up
And there's
stuff.
choices. There's choices,
There's
not just
choices.
like the right way. There's like options. There's differences, right? And
Exactly. Exactly. It's really,
yeah.
for me, it's like the best to be able to talk to like my business partners in Whoopsie Daisy and Fiasco. Um, Piper Christensen, I actually grew up with him in central Vermont, but he owns Motto, he owned Oxalis, he owns Plastafet, Golden Ratio, like all that stuff. So he's got a whole different business that he's running. And it's interesting to hear his perspective because I also came from from the Leyendo world. So it's just, the more you know, rainbow thing, like that's what you need.
Yes.
You need it.
Exactly. I just had that theme song go through my head, by the way, when you said that. Talk about good branding there. Um, anyway, so and you have two very different types of businesses that you're co-owner of. One's an actual shop, like retail, et cetera, and then the other
Mhm.
is a bar. What was it like? Like, what were some of the lessons learned when you opened like the shop that you didn't know going
Yeah.
into it?
In every state has different effed up liquor laws, right? So because we're still stuck in prohibition somehow in this country. But in New York City, you're only allowed to own one bottle shop. And it's the only business that I know of that when you try to get a business, you have to tell the state you want to open, and then the 5 closest liquor stores to your liquor store can say yes or no. It's so
Oh,
strange. It's
interesting.
just so strange. So that was a surprise. To be perfectly honest with you, my business partner Connor McKee, he runs the bottle shop Fiasco completely. He's a genius. He knows so much about wine. He makes the bottle shop a hospitality experience, which I think that a lot of people don't make their retail experiences hospitality forward, and we definitely do. But the real great thing about opening a bottle shop is that we open at noon and we close at 9. No one gets drunk in our space and no one uses our bathroom. It's amazing. It's like a dream.
Goals.
It's a
I'm like,
dream.
goal.
Yeah, it's a
Business owner
dream.
goals right there.
Yeah, it's so nice. I don't have a porter company. Like we just clean the space ourselves once a week. It's amazing. That being said, you're never going to make $1 million from owning a bottle shop. Like the profit margins are not fantastic. But we're a real staple of our community. And I hope we're open for a really long time. It's been a real joy, and we're able to get some like allocated stuff you can't otherwise. So we do a robust online operation, and it's great. Connor does a wonderful job curating it, running it. It's awesome.
Amazing, amazing. I'll latch onto that and something you said earlier is like, and when you said, I don't know how people do it, by themselves. I think that's really important also is, find your people,
Um,
whether those are your people that you just ask questions and you lean on as you're kind of growing your own, and you're helping them too. And or it's your business partners or people that you are going to set off into the sunset with to, because owning, running, starting a business is very difficult. No matter what industry you're in, no matter what type of business that you want to start. Okay, so what is next?
Um, I am in the midst of starting a new project, which is exciting. I took a break, kind of going away from cocktails in the last like 5 years. I opened up Whoopsie Daisy, which is a wine bar. It's a wine bar. We do cocktails, but we're a wine bar. Then I have Fiasco. We're a wine shop. We sell spirits, but we're a wine shop. So I had this whole thing for a while. I was like, I am done juicing limes. I want to pour things out of a bottle, and that's what I want to do. I frankly drink more wine than cocktails. I'm usually disappointed by cocktails. I'm very rarely disappointed by wine. But then I lost my cocktail bar last year, almost exactly a year ago, at the end of March 2025. And the last year, I'm just like, damn, I miss making cocktails. So like, you always want what you can't have. So I'm in the midst of opening up a new project. You are the first people to know that. So lease's signed. That's all I can say right now, but it's
Yeah,
coming. New York City,
amazing. Okay.
sometime in the beginning, in the next few months. Yeah,
In Brooklyn or in Manhattan, can you say?
in Brooklyn. Yeah,
In Brooklyn. Okay.
I'm done with
Okay.
Manhattan. I mean, Godspeed to everyone who can do it, but like, it's tough out there. It's not for me.
Hey, that's part of the journey, right? Is
Yeah.
you get to know yourself more, and you get to say, I say, as you continue in your leadership and as you collect your successes, the greatest joy is being able to say no. Like in the beginning, I feel like in the beginning you're just like, yes, okay, opportunity, okay, and you like justify it 20,
Doing it.
20 different ways, and then
Yeah.
you reach a point where you're like, I don't have to say yes to everything, and that's
That's
like
the
part of
most
the
wonderful
luxury.
thing. Like,
Yeah.
saying no, also, like, going back to, like, leaning on people. Like, I think that, to me, the biggest sign of success is when you can delegate. One of my least
Okay.
favorite things, I actually hate it, is when people are like, "Oh, I went to your spot and I didn't see you. You're never there." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool, huh?"
I mean,
Like like, I figured it out. I
you're like,
mastered.
yes.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm not there every night. Like, no, it's not romantic. I'm not slaving away, whatever. But I think when you can see people who are really successful, it's because they have been able to delegate some of their responsibilities. And in their delegation, they're teaching the next generation. And I think that
Yeah.
that is, you can't do many projects. Like, I can't do speed rack, write books, own 2 or 3 bars and a bottle shop without some sort of delegation and good partnerships. And
Yeah.
that's the best advice. I get bored. That's the reason why I'm in hospitality. I like to move around. I can't sit in one space for too long. The idea of me doing a 9 to 5 sitting at a desk, I wouldn't be able to do it. And if you're like that, and that's why you like this industry, think about delegating and think about getting partners. Think about sharing the wealth.
I love it. Yeah, sometimes I'll text like the owners if I'm at their establishment, and like, congratulations, like you're not here. I love it.
Yes,
Like
that's
this is
great.
great. Like
And
I left
honestly,
Sharpies for your team. I gave them high
yes.
fives, and like maybe they'll save you one. Maybe not.
Yes. Oh my God. More people, whoever's listening, do that more. If you ever show up and the owner's not there, just be like, good for you. It's
Oh yeah,
That's
I like
nice.
that advice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm
It's
like, I
because
hope
you
you're
feel
sipping.
shame when someone's like, oh, you're never there. I'm like,
No.
I'm there. I'm there
Yeah.
when we're not open. I'm there like the first hours of open, and then I go home because
Yeah.
I've been in this industry for 21 years. And frankly, I don't want to be up until 2 a.m.
And you know
anymore.
what? That that sets a great example and precedence, by the way, to people, your team, other people who admire, who are looking at that could be me, that I could actually have a life or
Yeah.
do things, multiple things, and
Yeah.
still have, my lifelong dream of having a restaurant or a bar, whatever,
It's possible.
and help people with their careers. You're giving other people an opportunity to step up and to manage and to potentially one day do their own thing, maybe,
Or
maybe
become a
not.
mic or become a mic. We just made my manager at Whoopsie Daisy a very small partner because frankly, she's awesome. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
amazing.
Erica, you don't have to, you're not shackled here for the rest of your life, but here's a piece. And like,
Yeah.
help us if the ship's going down or like something is wrong, this means that you're part of this forever.
Yeah,
You
and I've
know?
seen that as a trend, by the way, over the years, which I think is brilliant. I mean, we do this in other industries and tech, et cetera, and I do this, but when you have people who are in it to win it, and they really like have drank the Kool-Aid and the tequila, whatever, right? And they're like, I get it, I love it, I want it. I'm acting like an owner. Give them a
Yeah.
piece, right? Or work some sort of incentive because you don't want to lose them, first of all.
Really?
You
Oh,
also want to emulate them in up and coming leaders, right? And
yeah.
like if they're going to be the ones representing you when you're not physically there because you're off doing some other cool things, like that
All the
is
better.
like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all the better. Exactly. I mean, I would rather have less equity and more businesses than the other way around. That's just me. It might not be for you, but
Yeah.
that's my personal goal.
Yeah. I mean, that is great advice. I mean, and again, it's like, everyone has their own cup of tea, but like there's not one way to do it. And at the end of the day, I always say like the individual has to ask themselves the hard questions and keep asking themselves and be honest with themselves. Like, what does success mean to me right now? What does it mean to me 3 years from now? What am I trying to do? And how
Yeah.
do I make it so that I can have it all?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that people think that a life in hospitality is like not a life, but isn't that the reason why we all got into this in the first place is some sort of freedom? Like,
Yeah.
and also like, as a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a 40-year-old woman, people are like, what's going on with kids? Like, what's going on with this? Like, yeah, like people should be able to do that in
Yep.
their life. Like as a woman, if you want to have a family and own a bar or a restaurant, like you should be able to make the steps happen that's possible for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm like, it's possible. It's all possible.
Exactly.
So do
Exactly.
it.
That's why we do these stories. And there's examples of hundreds, thousands of people who have done it before you. And the
Yeah.
more the industry continues to evolve as like a profession that people are proud to be in, they're learning, they have skills, they have some sort of work life harmony, and they
Mhm.
can love what they do and do it every day. Like that.
Yes.
That's what everybody else is looking for. People outside of hospitality are like, how do I figure that out? Right.
And and yeah, I mean, if you can work for yourself with many people, that's my advice.
Right.
Many hands will work. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm very excited for your up and coming projects, and can't wait to hear it. This is not going to air for a couple weeks. So maybe the timing might be great. But anyway, we're excited to hear more about that. I think with that, we might be moving to quickfire.
Okay, great.
All right. What advice would you tell your younger self?
Don't worry so much what everyone thinks about you. Just it's gonna be okay. Don't care so much. Try to care a little bit more about you, what you think about you, not what they think about you.
What's your advice for someone struggling in the industry?
Take a vacation. Take a little leave of absence. The industry is not going anywhere. Try to take some time for you, figure out what you want to do. And if you want to come back, come back. If you don't, don't.
Great advice. What's your advice for fellow hospitality leaders?
Share the knowledge. It's not so secretive all the time. Like, try to share what you know and reach out to people who are younger or newer businesses and be like, hey, I'd love to help you out. If you ever need any advice. I think that sharing the wealth is not common. And like, yes, we have the internet now, and like everyone can go on Reddit and whatever, but like face to face, hey, if you ever have a question or anything, like give me a call. I wish I saw that more, and I don't.
Great. Well, on that note, thank you so much, Ivy, for sharing your career path, your successes, and your advice. I love
Thank
them.
you.
And can't wait to see what's next and to see your new projects.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on.
Remember, success looks different for everyone in hospitality. No two paths are the same. If you have a leader or a topic you want to hear about, email media@culinaryaagents.com. Hospitality on the Rise is brought to you by Culinary Agents, connecting top talent with employers since 2012. Whether you're hiring or looking for your next opportunity, join us at culinaryaagents.com. For more inspiration, subscribe to Hospitality on the Rise and visit hospitalitycareerpaths.com, a free platform by Culinary Agents. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. And if you love this episode, share it with someone who could use a little inspiration.